Kunkas, they don't even go for X early on anymore. Ever since Lanham started that trend, people
you adapt towards the game.
Yeah,
You don't do the same thing.
He will have to do it here, like for sure. Like you can't be maxing that Tidebringer. Unless you like tri-lane versus tri-lane, then Tidebringer is pretty good.
Fnatic had heeded your advice. They ban out the Naga Siren here in the second phase, which is obviously a really good pairing in tandem with something like the Keeper of Light. But there are other options out there if they wanted to get something of a similar profile, I'd imagine.
I mean, it's definitely going to be position 3 Slaughter for DC. They never ran it as carry. They usually always pick something like a Clings to it, just to make sure they have like a lot of physical damage to go to the...
But don't you think it fits Resolution as a player, like a Slaughter safe lane?
It does fit him, but I just feel like he does way better when he can just like get in your face like right away without, you know, having to like think about the consequences too much. Because like if you have a Slaughter, you run in, you're basically your whole team's damage for that like phase. If that makes any sense at all. Because I kind of like talked myself into something. Whatever. You know what I mean? Hopefully.
I get where you're coming from.
Good.
Pick Slug for Resolution.
Yeah,
Slug's what you're saying.
Slug or another physical damage dealer, like Clings, something that just goes
there's Slug.
Yeah, that goes really well.
Well done, Black. I understood you, Black.
Well played, well played. Well played.
Good, it's good. I mean, it's also almost impossible for a Kunkka to reliably like gank a Slug. You X-mark him, but you instantly get out of the torrent. And
you have to you have to bait him with the timing, right? Because the X lasts longer, and you can like delay it or stagger the timing a bit, and maybe he uses his Dark Pact a little bit.
But that only works if he doesn't see you.
Right, of course. It's very hard, very hard.
Which is pretty hard against Slark because he always sees you. The night vision is like super.
Why does that hero have night vision, by the way?
Why does any hero have night vision? I feel that's so OP.
It really is.
I mean, Night Stalker probably should have night vision.
Dude, you remember?
No, he's the only hero who should. Everyone else should just have.
Yeah, but it makes sense. But you remember the Alchemist with night vision?
Legion Commander.
Well, that Amiibo as well.
Oh, Legion Commander.
This is a unbelievably hard counter to Slark. This is one of the hardest heroes to play.
Easy counter.
But do you just lane the Legion in the Slark's lane at this point?
I think you can.
I think you do that. You might even aggro dual lane there. Like a Legion +1.
Legion plus Wiz?
Something like
Wisp
that.
is like the very common pairing, but honestly there are a lot of heroes that you can put Legion with and it's good. And like throughout all stages of the game, like you have to buy Lincolns against this hero.
What do you think about Lich with the Legion this game against Slaughter?
It would absolutely smash the lane.
Yep.
And with the Slaughter as well, having the plus armor, it's double melee core, would be really solid.
And what we haven't mentioned yet, it actually counters Slaughter and Kotl really hard too, because that mana leak and that amp damage is just gone. Yeah.
That's a really, really good point back. Well done.
Thank you.
Is there any shortcoming to it? Because I feel like if they committed with a Lich, would they be lacking in the stun department outside of a Hail Mary arrow?
They're more than enough disable, I feel.
Well, they have like one BKB hard disable, which is the Legion Commander ult. They have an arrow setup with Kunkka most likely, so they shouldn't fall short on the stun department.
Yeah, for DC, the type of game they're gonna look to play.
That's the solo mid.
Solo mid Ursa Warrior. So they're gonna be playing very fast paced, no cooldown dependent. Get Roshan down Dire. Play with the Vision Slug plus Kotl if you get Ags. So that will be their main game plan right now for DC.
Yeah, like in the past, many people said Ursa is just a hard counter to like melee heroes in mid lane, but he can actually lane really decently against range heroes too with that new Poman shield. You just buy the Poman shield and just tank it up.
OP, dude.
It is, man. 500 gold and you just stand there and tank hits. As soon as Ursa at level 60 can always make a comeback, you win one fight, you get an easy Roshan.
It is going to be Fnatic who scope this Ursa though, and will be forced to respond in their own way. We don't know yet what kind of flexibility they're willing to offer between the Kunkka and the Mirana, so a support could be still an option, obviously, or something potentially for the mid lane on mid 1. This guy right here.
What do you guys feel? Like, I feel the support Kunkka is super strong here, don't you think?
I do. I think they want something else to partner with the Legion though. Like typically you want some form of burst damage, or you want a way of ensuring, you want the dual win. For sure.
You need damage. Snowball, yeah.
I mean, normally you see stuff like Skywrath. That's one of the biggest pairings that we typically find. It just means that, there's no save on the side of DC yet either. So
Skywrath is like weak here though.
I know, but that's what I mean. It's like you want something like that, but
Lion maybe?
I mean, heroes like that, they can really get run down by the lineup though. Like Slaughter, Ursa, and Slark, they will really just get behind your lines and crush you there. Like you need some hero that can actually kind of kite them around a bit.
What about Disruptor? Is typically good against the Slark. I don't know if he offers the damage that you would need. Oh, they go for Shadow Shaman.
They're gonna just 5-man because they need to. If they split up the DC lineup with the recall, the Slaughter sprinting around, and the Slug's mobility is gonna overrun you. So this is, I think, a good game plan by Fnatic. They want to group together, avoid the pickoffs, and push for towers.
Yeah, it's triple melee as well on
10
DC. Very hard to
seconds
get in and kill
remaining.
wards. It's very, very scary when you have to deal with like torrents and boats and whatnot, arrows
5
flying out. If
seconds
they get the siege
remaining.
going, it's very hard for DC to stop at this point.
And we've seen DJ, he gets ward traps off without even hexing them.
Reserve
Dude,
time.
his
He's-
Shadow Shaman against
yeah.
Liquid was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
He trapped so many people. I was actually like, okay, who needs a hard disable if you have ward trap?
No, Liquid trapped themselves when they didn't get BKB on Sven.
Yeah,
That's true as well.
that was pretty heartbreaking for me too. I was kind of like not looking, and then they lost.
Hey, let me ask
10
you, do you think like
seconds remaining.
a Pugna might be good for Fnatic if they going for all in?
Oh, I love that hero.
Pugna is
5
good,
seconds
but it's like
remaining.
very all-in-ish.
Yeah.
Fnatic.
But it's amazing
turn
with like
to
the
battle.
Crepify and being able to just go for the quick siege. Like their lineup get high ground so fast.
I actually think it would like work out really nicely here because they can defend the Rasta wards as well as the partner ward really easily.
Yeah, the decrep is also very useful in this scenario, and you provide damage during the duel with your life drain.
10
And
seconds remaining.
DC's heroes, they need items to come online. Like all three of the heroes, they need
5
at least like a
seconds
Blinker or
remaining.
Shadow Blade too.
They're gonna be relying on the quarter to buy time for them to farm their items if the Pugna comes out from Fnatic.
Reserve
Yeah.
time.
I still think that Fnatic have a, not even a small advantage, like a fairly sizable one, given the way that they're going to play this game. Because if they start getting ahead, the massive rewards kill the first few towers, you know, Legion gets Blink Dagger, your cores are going to feel very hard pressed to go for this kind of farming style, especially when you have
Fnatic's
Moonlight
turn
Shadow
to
as well. Like the picking potential of Fnatic isn't necessarily bad.
The only thing that Fnatic might be missing a bit is the like burst damage partner for Legion. That
Yeah,
you can,
that's-
like smoke around and just kill people like you two alone. So they might not feel like as scared,
10
but
seconds
like your point is definitely
remaining.
valid that they need to be scared as soon as the Legion has Blink.
Honestly, I think once you get
5
Blade Mail
seconds
and Blink,
remaining.
Then you can
it's
solo kill
already
people.
you can kill Stark with that alone.
Or they go for the PL instead though.
turn
So
to
it's
pick.
mid Legion
Mid.
or dual off
Oh,
lane,
mid
maybe?
PL.
It might be mid
Or yeah,
PL.
mid PL, yeah.
Or mid bottom is still possible too.
It can be like mid 3 different heroes
Yeah.
at this point.
Mid
Shadow Shaman.
I actually do think though
10
it's gonna be like
seconds
the
remaining.
safe lane PL, probably the mid bottom,
Yeah.
and then the Legion off.
Yeah, that is like
seconds
most likely,
remaining.
I think.
Darkseer is the last choice here for DC.
MVP
Other
lineup.
MVP, yeah.
This is a lot of aggression in the early game from DC. Hard lane pressure.
But I feel like Fnatic can really deal with it. They have so many good in and out spells.
They did it before against MVP. Will they do it again, gentlemen?
Nope, DC is gonna take this game, Dakota.
Okay.
I'm actually going to go Fnatic.
I think Fnatic or DC can take it.
Black, you son of a gun. Let's go ahead and send things out to our casters right now. It's none other than Capitalist and Blitz.
The final match to determine which team will be heading to the final day. Will it be Digital Chaos or will it be Fnatic? These two teams sharing many
10
similarities,
seconds
led by
remaining.
old blood from the Dota 1 and early Dota 2 days in Misery,
5
Resolution,
seconds
Ohio, and Mushi, of course, leading new blood, fresh Dota 2 players trying to cut their claw through the Dota 2 competitive scene. This is going to be one hell of a match.
Prepare
Blitz,
for battle.
Fnatic, and DC. We have a draft that features a few surprises. The Ursa for the Digital Chaos, and Fnatic actually picking up a Legion Commander quite early into their draft.
Yeah, this is probably the surprise pick for me. I'd imagine it's just because you can dispel the Slardr's amp as well as you can lock down any of these two supports. But at the same time, it does feel maybe just a little bit too greedy and not entirely sure what the direction is here. Just because it is going to be hard for them to secure the farm for this Legion. He's largely just going to have to jungle, might even contest a little bit. But with the Slark and Keeper of the Light Lane up here, I highly doubt that he lasts for very long.
Looks like we are going to be having Mushi's going to be playing the Mirana here in this match. Mid
30
one is going to be
seconds to
on our
battle.
Phantom Lancer. It's looking like we are going to be having a safe lane Phantom Lancer though with DJ on the Shadow Shaman. He had one hell of a performance earlier on this very hero. Ohio obviously on that Legion Commander up the top lane as you said. That matchup, the Slark and the Keeper of the Light, it's going to be a dangerous one for him to try and contest. May just have to fall out to the jungle rather early. Meanwhile, Digital Chaos are going to be running a support Slardar here with Misery.
The
On that
battle
one, he's going to be
begins.
coupled up with Moo most likely a lot of the times, trying to use that classic double melee and double ion shell. That abusive strategy that punishes heroes in the laning phase.
Oh.
Resolution barely making it open to the cliff.
That was scary. It looked like for a second he was going to bug his way down, but Fnatic not going to be able to get anything, and they would have had to hit another torrent anyways. Resolution most likely would have been okay.
Unable to snag that boundary rune away from the Legion Commander. Weehaw going to be playing the Ursa in the mid matchup against Mushi. How would you say this matchup fares for Ursa?
I think Ursa does okay. You can just keep drawing creep aggro, and the fact that you have a 4-man shield allows you to take a lot of these weak Mirana hits. She's only got 55 base, so when it comes to trading last hits, we should be somewhat okay. At the same time, Mushi has kill potential, whereas we almost doesn't, and that's going to determine a lot of the aggression in this lane. And you already see it as Mushi's just getting into a right-click fight.
Mid one, he has a stout shield on him in this bottom lane, Phantom Lancer, and he's gonna have to last hit without a Quelling Blade underneath his tier 1 towers. The constant Ion Shell push is gonna come out from Digital Chaos, coupled with the occasional hard camp pull. Misery will try and protect the pull as best as possible, ready to go with the Slithering Crush to defend his bounty. Won't be able to grab that big creep though. Mid one snatches it up with a Spirit Lance, but they're chased away once the Ion Shell creeps push forward.
Yeah, I think this is a game that the Phantom Lancer can be incredibly successful in. If you look at the rest of DC's heroes, they don't have the best way to clear him out. The most that they can do is, if they get a good early to mid-game start, maybe they can just roll over him, but when it comes to the absolute late game, I think Fnatic are in pretty decent shape. But this bottom lane move, getting almost every single last hit already.
Misery buying him quite a lot of space. The Shadow Shaman, one of the big weaknesses of that support hero, not very good against 2v2 scenarios. Much prefers the solo offlaner, where it's able to truly abuse that Shackles. As it stands, looks like the lanes are going quite well for Digital Chaos, including this top one, where Resolution now jumps onto Ohio, trying to get some extra damage in. They're going to go for a bit of body blocking. Ohio, though, as soon as he pops that press the attack, they know he has more than enough regen to be able to survive the gank attempt.
Yeah, as a result of this dual lane up here, 3-4-3 coming up, Resolution just hasn't had the best time CSing. And Soxa can't really do anything as the Keeper of the Light. They were anticipating a 2v1 lane, which they probably would have been able to win, but Resolution can't really trade right clicks very efficiently with Ohio. He needs the help of the support, but at the same time, 3-4-3 already has a level of that Tidebringer.
Double damage, he's easily able to keep the Slark zoned out and should be able to secure a lot of CS for Ohio. Really important that this Legion Commander gets off to a great start.
Yeah, and in this mid lane, Mushi doing fine, but like we talked about, this Ursa, even though he is the melee hero, will do perfectly okay in this lane because he can just keep drawing it back.
There, an early kill. Bottom lane takes up the Phantom Lancer with a combination of Misery and Moo. The Ion Shells taking the first blood against Fnatic.
Really well done. Did not expect there to be a kill in that lane, but the support Slardar, something a little bit greedy, doesn't really have a whole lot going for him. He needs a lot of levels and a decent amount of farm to be useful, but in this dual lane scenario, able to just run this melee core down. 20-0 so far on Mushi. Drop it a bit low there as a spam coming out from Weehaw with that constant Earth Shock. He's trying to put it to use as he's got the ball top. Anyway, Ohio dropping lower and lower. The Torrent's not able to latch fully, and Resolution will be able to get the extra damage on Ohio chasing him away. This is buying Resolution a fresh start when it comes to CS after he was pressured so heavily in the first level. Yeah, and Ohio just gonna suicide. Not a whole lot going for him. He just bought out completely. Decided it's going to save him some time. Nice pick up there for Misery. Low enough though. Get to see if he considers going back to base with that one. Nope, it's going to be a passed off healing salve from Moo. They're going to try and go for the kill here on mid one. Already throwing down the Ion Shell. He's going to wrap all the way around. In fact, he's probably looking for the Shadow Shaman right now. They've got the vision down to be able to see the Shadow Shaman if he comes up this area. This would be a free kill, but Misery guesses wrong. Gonna go left. And they see him now. Maybe they can still sandwich him. He pops the sprint. He's gonna come in from behind, and it's up to Moo to try and cut off DJ on the right-hand side. DJ, very scary situation here. He's gonna get sandwiched. Immediately stunned up. Moo gonna be there with the Ion Shell damage. DJ left with nothing to do. He throws out the shackles, trying to lay the damage from one of them, but ultimately the other one will help get the kill. Very well done by this bottom lane as Moo picks up his second kill in the game. Already has the Soul Ring and the infused raindrops. It's going to be incredibly difficult for Fnatic to continue to get aggressive in this lane. So they're just going to have to passively sit back. This is the downside of having that Shadow Shaman in your lane.
At what point in time, we've got an Ursa mid for Digital Chaos. Anytime you have an Ursa, particularly on the Dire side, you're going to look to abuse Roshan. But at what point can you really do that? Because Fnatic, I feel like they've got a pretty decent lineup at contesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is going to come down to how early we wants to signal his team to go for the Roche. And it's probably going to be dependent on whether or not they can put some pressure on this top lane, rotate some heroes over. Early on in the game, as soon as they just devote 2 support heroes to this bottom lane, it's going to be hard for anything to be really taken by DC, but they're satisfied so far. Laning phase has gone incredibly stable for them, is the best way to put it.
We've talked about Digital Chaos and their laning phase in the past. They seem to have shored up that previous weakness of theirs. Bottom lane, 3-4-3. He's going to be hunted down here. Weehaw, he's got the surge, he's got the Earthshock, unable to get it off though. DJ holds him in place with the shackles, and now here comes Midwan out of mana. He's completely out of mana, has to pop the mango in order to doppelgang out, but DJ will be the feed instead. Weehaw looks for
He's going to keep going for it.
Close the distance with 3-4-3. Slardar meanwhile actually kills the Legion Commander at top lane, but at bottom they still pursue. 3-4-3. Deep in
Barely misses.
The Earthshock not quite hitting the mark there. Meanwhile, top lane to get the second kill. Mushi falls as well. Digital Chaos coming out on top in both engagements, pressuring bottom and top lane. But maybe now they're going to be caught now. DJ comes in, tries to get the shackles onto Moo. Unable to close that gap though.
That is really surprising that they were able to kill Mushi up at top. There are just so many kills going around the map. DC taking this early lead. And it's very rare that you see that happen when you commit 2 of your core heroes at bottom and they still manage to pick up kills independent of you. DC just setting a blistering pace so far.
And this is so dangerous when Digital Chaos have what I would say is a somewhat greedy core lineup. They've got 3 cores that all need a decent amount of farm, the Slark, the Ursa, as well as the Darkseer. They need to be able to create a lot of space for these heroes, take alternate times of being able to gank with one of the cores while other 2 farm up, and obviously be able to create space for Roshan as well. And a successful laning phase may allow them to do that more naturally than previously thought.
Yeah, and this Legion Commander doing very well for himself. Already level 5, 32 CS on him. Barely behind the Slark. Has picked up a decent amount of farm and levels. Legion really heavily relying on this farm just so he can get a decent timing on his items. If you go way too late for a Blink Dagger, you might just have to transition into that Blade Mail, but Ohio's still looking somewhat okay. And he's just going to stat up heavily. As now DC, they should try to get control of this bottom jungle area so that they can secure the next Roshan for themselves. That would be so huge for them in getting aggressive on this Phantom Lancer in the early mid.
Now, do you mean they actually need to bring more heroes than just Misery and Moo, who are currently controlling the bottom lane pretty well? Do you think you need that extra rotation from perhaps the Slark or maybe even the Keeper of the Light? Not the greatest ganking hero in the world, but can provide that extra presence to dominate the bottom half of the map.
I think the best thing to happen right now is if DC could get a gank with maybe even Resolution going up at bottom.
Okay.
And then getting aggressive and trying to force them out of this bottom lane, force a core up the top, then immediately go for something like the Roshan. But at bottom,
X marks the spot, gonna be leaded into the torrent here. Move, gonna be caught quite easily. But the Ursa is now here, and he's gonna try and get vengeance. DJ turns around, manages to get the Hex just in time, but the Earthshot slows down DJ. His allies leaving behind. They know there's reinforcements coming. Misery hits a nice slithering crush, trying to rank the arrow. Can't get to the creep wave in time. The block it off, and now even Weehaw being hit by the torrent. This could be the
here comes the duel
that Fnatic desperately need, but the Earthshot. It keeps Ohio at bay, unable to get that duel. They can still land this one. Weehaw turns, fight up against the duel. Weehaw, he knows the torrent was coming in. He might just win the duel. Not Ohio survives. Winner gets the duel damage. Will still fall to Misery as he comes in with a slithering crush. But the fight looks nasty as Fnatic dove in deep for that one, and they may still lose an extra hero. Midwan being chased up. Mushi blocking it out with his illusions. Now he's going to be the one amped up. Saksa hoping to be able to get a mana leak here, be able to keep Mushi down, but he leaves just ahead of it.
Unable to find the angle as DC. They did commit the buyback from Misery. Weren't able to save too much, but now they bring a lot of heroes down here. This is exactly what we wanted to see. And if they can control this space in the map, already getting a ward down here, a Roshan will be simple for them.
Resolution. He got a decent amount of damage on that tower. He's even pulling for himself just to get that extra bit of farm. At this point, He will probably have a decent progression into that 15-18 minute marker where we see the first big item pickup. Do you think that's going to be Blink Dagger, or is it going to be a Shadow Blade in this game?
Not really sure. It looks like he's just building for pure tankiness right now.
Yeah. Now he's got treads. We'll be bringing in the Ring of Aquila in due time. Fnatic, they did show a hero up top lane, and Digital Chaos poke at Roshan, but map is still not revealing enough for them to feel comfortable being able to take that bounty.
I think Blink might be a little bit better for resolution, but Shadowblade fits his playstyle a little bit more.
Yeah.
He likes to play that solo kind of playstyle where you can just pick off one of the supports in the back. We've seen him do it very frequently in the past.
I mean, you've got a lot of heroes, I would say, on the side of Fnatic that a Blink Dagger Slark can really abuse. The Shadow Shaman being able to guarantee close that gap with that hero and abuse him with your combination of nukes and that ultimate, as well as obviously being able to latch onto that Mirana
This is going to be pretty well done as Mushi and 343, they're in perfect position to break the smoke on either side. They spot this coming.
They still find something. Spots out 343, can't quite pursue though. Perfectly read by Fnatic.
Yeah. We talked about how Fnatic wanted to, or DC wanted to get control of this area. They immediately placed somebody in the Roshan pit just in case somebody comes by. They put the Kunkka on the top side of the hill, so there's absolutely no way that either side can get through. That'll prevent the Roshan from happening as well as Fnatic. They really want to play on this bottom half of the map. It's very rare that Radiant plays like this, but especially against an Ursa, it's quite necessary.
Can't afford to just be giving away control of your jungle or that tier 1 tower. Gotta keep that vision area around that Roshan pit. Not allow that Ursa to be able to snowball up on the Legion.
343. Trying to scout out this rune with Mushi. You notice that Mushi just playing on this bottom half of the map once again. Sending DJ to grab some amount of farm. He needs at least minimum arcane boots to be even a hero in this game, otherwise he just drops the wards and runs.
Do you like this build by Ohio so far? Forgoing the Blink Dagger, and looks like he's going to be picking up not just the phase, but also the armlet here?
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. Turning him into a second core on top of the, for now, the Mirana, just because the Phantom Lancer isn't doing so hot.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty important for them.
It means they're going to have a pretty big power spike between the Mirana and the Legion Commander around that 25-minute marker. Who's going to be caught here by it looks like an arrow led into the duel. 20 damage already for Ohio. Coming back like he's going to pay for it with his life, perhaps. The boat's going to come in, not quite striking Digital Chaos. They are pursuing out, but it looks like the X-Marksman spot is going to hold them in place. Torrent lands. Arrow also going to be able to follow that one up. A Resolution lands the pounce under 343, keeping him in place. They still have the Moonlight Shadow for a second, but now as it fades, they will fall. 1-for-1 trade off there. Digital Chaos. They swarm the bottom lane. They've lost mid thanks to the Shadow Shaman wards. And top lane is being given away to the Phantom Lancer as well. If they had caught more heroes there in that bottom lane engagement, maybe DC could have finally gone for that Roshan, but just not the case. Mushi, maybe he's the pickoff. Miss crush there by mid. They can still get Mushi though. They're going to have to dive in behind the tier 1 tower for it. They're afraid of the TP rotations, as they should be. Fnatic already committing 3 TPs in. DJ pursuing out. They're also going to be able to have the Kunkka here. Not going to be close enough for an X marks the spot catch just yet, though.
And this is the downside right now of DC's lineup. Although their laning phase was very good, this is what happens when you have a support Slardar. He eventually is going to need to grab a Blink Dagger. He's had some really good rune luck in grabbing so many of those haste runes, but you can't actively rely on those. And so for DC to set up a fight, you have to bring Resolution down. You have to get him a Shadow Blade just so he can open up fights and force Fnatic into a position where they can't run away. So far, Fnatic are just playing the hit and run game, farm around with all your heroes, and it's working out for them.
Fnatic have done a really good job, not just controlling that bottom lane, but still not giving up that top lane tower so early. It's only sitting at half HP done. Oftentimes when a Slark is left alone in his lane, he's able to take that tower out within the first 15 minutes of the game. Not the case here.
The only downside right now that I can see from Fnatic's lineup is they're kind of grouped up together at all times because they're so focused on this Roshan that they can't really take it themselves unless they have the Shadow Shaman wards, and it's not easy for them to sneak in, especially against DC's lineup. You never want to fight a Darkseer around that Roshan pit. Same thing goes with the Keeper of the Light. They don't really have a lot of physical damage on top of the wards to take it very quickly.
Despite being grouped up though, Fnatic have not dropped too much of a gold lead to Digital Chaos. We'll see a little bit more of a lead though in that experience graph, as all that grouping up obviously harming Fnatic's growth in levels.
I think right now DC should start to try to get aggressive. Resolution has a Shadow Blade, Blink Dagger's picked up on the Ursa. The next round of items will take way too long for them to get started. I think this is around the time you want to set up for a smoke and...
Oh no, Ohio, he actually is going to complete it. No! Slithering Crush just in time! Misery catches it. Meanwhile, back in mid lane, they're able to get the shackles onto Zaksa. No contest there. Fnatic will get the pick off on the support, but Digital Chaos did manage to pick up the bigger kill in Ohio. But can they stop this bottom lane push? It looks like Fnatic, with 4 heroes here, are going to try and contest the tier 1 at bottom lane.
Yeah, they even have a sentry down 3-4-3 in the perfect position to look for the counter initiation as Resolution gonna walk in unawares.
Oh, he already gets teched up, but he's still Shadowblade, will be able to get through those wards. Now the shackle, but here comes the boat, and actually gonna be able to take up Fnatic a bit, which is good because Digital Chaos, they're on the precipice and swarming forward, but I think they realize it's good enough just to be able to defend this tower. Circuit wards were dropped without anybody dying, and I think almost more importantly, they're buying Misery space for him to be able to pick up his Blink Dagger. You talked about how important this timing is for DC to get aggressive with that Shadow Blade. Well, now they're going to have another key timing with Misery's Blink.
Yeah, that's going to come online a lot faster than I thought it would. Is that bottom engagement was just with spells on either side. Fnatic and DC both not really willing to engage, especially since Resolution wasn't certain where that ward was. Fnatic unable to capitalize off of the great play of that Shadow Shaman.
Mushi has been quite close to his Aghanim Scepter for quite some time. That obviously is a big boost in farming speed, so he really needs to take a moment, finish that one up. Thankfully, he's got the Kunkka to make sure that Mushi is always in play. TP's back, builds up his bottle, immediately returns to jungling with Starstorm.
Yeah, Misery's picked up his Blink. We talked about how when DC get these first round of items, they want to try to get aggressive. They've got the mech on the Darkseer as well. There shouldn't be a whole lot that they're waiting for anymore. And we talked about controlling the bottom lane. This is going to be the key for DC so that they can get this early Roshan. They're going to start making their move forward. I'd really like to see Fnatic camp a hero in that same exact location.
Yeah.
Even if you just tank it on maybe even the Kunkka, which he's exactly going to go for. And he's just willing to try and break the smoke, but this time around going to go all the way back. But somebody from Fnatic...
he checked out that Roshan pit, thinking maybe Digital Chaos may have smoked all the way in there.
No.
And now careful though, they may lose mid one here. Weehaw is ready to go with the Blink Dagger of his own. They're going to start jumping in there. And Slardar, his initiation, needed to stop on a press the attack. Weehaw tries to jump in, doesn't manage to get a good Earth Shock. Who's going to be the target, but he's got the mech. The duel goes out now. They're all blinded up. They're not getting any damage on Naboo in time. DJ managed to corral up Weehaw, but it's stopped by Misery's Crush. Now they jump on a DJ, hoping to be able to take out the support. It's quite easy with the share.
And the courier goes down.
The courier going down, and they've got vision of all these heroes. The amplified damage, revealing Mushi catches him behind the tower. They're gonna die for more. Fnatic trapped behind the tier 1 tower.
Ohio trying to dig his way out.
Ohio holding his breath, praying that Digital Chaos do not find him here, as he does not have a TP away. It looks like he is going to be able to make it out alive. Digital Chaos, they have bigger things in their mind. They've taken that tier 1 tower, they've won the team fight, and now they're going to take that room shot.
That was so well done by DC, just how they set up that fight. Fnatic, they had to expect that engagement. They thought that DC would go for the sneak Roshan first, but there's no way against Fnatic's lineup they're going to do that. They're going to go for the fight near that bottom area. That's exactly what we've been talking about this entire game before they go for this Roshan kill. And Fnatic slip up huge.
They certainly did. Thankfully, Mushi is still able to finish up his Aghanim Scepter, so we will see a continual growth in him for net worth and perhaps an extra powerhouse in these team fights if he's able to last long enough to be able to get off multiple Starstorms. Their 3-man smoke is going to run into Weehaw here, but Weehaw, oh no, he just picked up an invis rune. They are going to be able to get the dust onto him, and an arrow is going to be able to land. They're going to combo off him. This is just the Aegis, however. Fnatic are going to try and escape, but Resolution haunts their tail, throws out the Pounds of Misery with the Crush, stops 2, and they're trapped. Oh my god! That That was a beauty. Now Weehawk gonna be able to jump right in the middle of all of Fnatic, hits a nice third shot, and pursues whatever he can get his claws on. 2 down from Fnatic, and a third gonna fall as well. 3-4-3. Loses his life, and Resolution will get the triple.
Moo has just been so incredible in this main stage. His Timber Saw led them to countless victories, but that vacuum wall gonna secure them another fight in a row. Clutch performance by him as DC. They gathered around. They used that Aegis to perfect effectiveness. Fnatic completely caught off guard by that Slark as well.
And now they're turned towards mid. Mid one. He already popped the doppelganger. That's going to be easy for mid.
All they have to do is guess now.
Real. Oh, they went for the wrong illusion. They may still catch the real mid one though. Turns around, throws out the Phantom Lens. Knows he can't escape here, so he tries to get the kill on Misery, but to no avail.
And Fnatic just getting caught all around the map. They've been playing such clean Dota so far, but another one.
Uh-oh. Overextending himself this time around. Trying to lead by example, but runs straight into the danger zone. Fnatic catch him with Mushi's Starstorms. And Digital Chaos will now back up as 4, unable to get that tier 1 mid like they hoped.
My largest concern right now for Fnatic is Ohio's item progression. It has almost entirely stopped. I believe he has the armlet on the courier, which is what was coming, but before that comes 21 minutes in, doesn't have any follow-up items as a result of all these lost fights. He desperately needs a Blink Dagger so he can get his own initiations off.
Yeah, he started off nice. 2 dual kills. We had phase boots, pretty good progression into that armlet, but now with the armlet delay, thanks to the courier being down, he only just now picks it up. And we're going to need to see him put in some serious work with the Blink Dagger if he chooses that as his 3rd item.
I think he's going to need to. Otherwise, your only initiation from Fnatic, it was enough in the beginning of the game. This X marks the spot into Torrent combination, but DC just overrun you. They have so many different ways to fight. There's a mech on their side, something that Fnatic just don't have. And now they're going to go for this bottom tower. I think Fnatic are just going to look to trade.
This
can't give up another fight in a row.
Yeah. This really hurts Ohio because you could see a very clear progression in items that would be very successful against this team. If he managed to get a Blink and a Blade Man, they could actually lock down heroes like the Slark or the Ursa and be able to use this sort of anti-carry to be able to take out one of the big cores of Digital Chaos. But the progression in items is just not there yet, but Fnatic did just pick up a tier 1 tower and they're pushing for more, going for this tier 2 to see if they can even out the tower trade-off here as Digital Chaos take the bottom lane.
And they do have the roster wards available. He's just setting up in this top half of the map. DC, they don't have vision. There's no wards behind this area. Fnatic very well set up. Ohio in a very good position to try to pick somebody out this move. Gonna get hit by that arrow. Where's the follow-up?
They do have the cross. Oh, look at the answer. There's gonna be no duel immediately, but Weehawk hindsight the Jackals now. The boat comes in, finishing off Moo. Weehawk taking up with his ultimate, ready to go. But Moo did one. He's already slowing him down with the purge. They've taken out the Ursa, and Misery's gonna be pulled right back. They are gonna be able to get 3 here from Digital Chaos. Fnatic found exactly the fight they needed. DC, they saw it coming too. They had the successful scan, but it was right as Moo tanked the arrow.
Yeah, the worst part about that was not just the arrow, it was the angle at which they fought. DC, they have no vision around this area, whereas Fnatic with this ward, they were able to perfectly execute. And DC were just left scrambling, but
now a lot of items coming in for Fnatic that were desperately needed before. The Blink Dagger now up for Mushi, able to play that back and forth game that heroes like Phantom Lancer and Kunkka are so adept at being able to pull off. Speaking of Kunkka, he has drums as well now. Resolution gets spotted out just on the tail edge of that counter ward. Not going to be able to catch him out though.
he was going to be very hard for them to lock down in these fights. With that Lincoln Sphere, still hasn't died in this game. Resolution, maybe the MVP for so many of DC's games.
Yeah, this CIS prodigy, he's met nothing but disappointment in his annual pilgrimage to Seattle. He's recently forsaken his home region for a fresh start with new companions, and obviously, as you see here, on one of our final days of the International, Digital Chaos is still going strong. Resolution leading them. Blink Dagger now being picked up by the Shadow Shaman.
That
But
is
top,
going to help
Saksa,
lots.
his greed might just cost him his life. As Mushi's got the Blink Dagger, he's gonna look to swing this around.
So close to the Aghanim Scepter too. He just needs another 100 gold. Saksa thinks, I can stick around.
8 gold away.
I
Is
will be
Mushi
able to
gonna
pick
go
up the
for it?
Siege Wagon. Mushi, he's going to pursue him out. He's
Oh,
going to blink ahead of him. Will be able to get the Dark Storm. Saksa, he finds out the Aghanim Scepter though. It would have been so lovely if Fnatic could have stopped that item pickup and gotten Azul for Ohio. But you make the best of it.
Yeah, that's gonna be perfectly okay for Saksa. Just because he now has his Axe. A lot of item progression still coming out on the side of DC, especially the supports. Just taking a look at the net worth of the supports, they are eclipsing Fnatic's too. But Fnatic, they still favor their team fight. They're going to start heading their way up here as they push in this mid wave, and DC look to dodge. They still only have this one ward up here. Might be a little bit reluctant to fight as they don't see the angle.
Yeah, if they could just trade off, I think, the tier 2 mid. Digital Chaos could be happy with that, but as I say that, they actually are going to go for the initiation. They do get the amplified damage on a mid one. Now he's got the diffuse blade as well as Doppelganger, so will be able to get away from Weehaw, who's still pursuing him out all the way to the trees. The Core's going to be able to stop them. The vacuum stops the TP though. Slithering Crush follow up. They don't have any vision. Eventually, mid one is going to be caught here as he Doppelgangers into the trees, but it breaks it. They jump outside of the map there for a moment with Resolution, but they catch him anyway. 2 down. Digital Chaos successfully defend their tier 2.
And Fnatic, a little bit afraid in their offense as they weren't really willing to fight that. As you saw the Phantom Lancer go for the TP immediately after the Mirana Moonlight Shadow, but the rest of the team was already gone. And Fnatic throw away 2 heroes, including a core, exactly what DC were looking for.
Arrow.
Spoil that shot.
Meant for the neutral camp. Misery does spot it out though, knows that Mushi is nearby. Looks like he was probably scouting out the dire jungle, right? Saying maybe if I can get a pick off, Roshan will be up soon. As that potential spawn time starting in just another 10 seconds.
Yeah, right now, both teams' game plan is pretty clear. DC, they just want to engage around this Roshan pit the second time around. They really need it so that their Ursa can get aggressive in a game like this. There's so many different ways to control him. He opted not to go for the BKB, instead grabbing the Ags. He's going to need that Aegis to really utilize this build.
Yeah, this Aghanim's upgrade on the Enrage, that's going to be so great against heroes like the Shadow Shaman. And that Legion Commander duel as well. Slark though, he is the one, Resolution's the one standing way above in net worth. He's sitting at 15,000, while all the other cores of both Fnatic and DC are hovering around that 10k line.
Fnatic just continuing to farm on their Phantom Lancer. We talked about how this could potentially be the best late game hero in the game just because DC don't have that natural clear. Eventually, maybe the Slark can build into one if he goes for something like the Mjolnir. But for now, DC are content. He can kill the other heroes so easily that I don't think they feel too pressured about this.
Yeah.
It is daytime for just 4 more seconds. Might be the wrong time to go for any sort of aggressive maneuver.
The smoke up right as nighttime dawns. Now Resolution, there is so much of a vision advantage to DC because daytime they've got this Aghanim's Keeper of Light. Clear vision through and through. They can throw down even a gem soon and be able to control the map really well. But even during nighttime, you've got this pesky Slark moving around the map with that nighttime vision.
Oh, Resolution. He's going to break the smoke. He sees DJ. They're immediately going to start plopping down the wards, sensing a fight.
They will be able to get that ward that was placed down by DC earlier. DC laying out a trap
Gets
though,
the jump.
by this neutral area. These teams all have Blink Dagger. 3-4-3 is going to be the first one in. Gets the X marks the spot. Is going to be stunned up. Unable to pull back. Weehaw in time. He dodges the boat. Now the vacuum in with the pushback of the blinding light as well through the wall. Misery. He'll pursue them out. Managed to get the force step into Ohio. The amplified damage ready to go. The arrow cuts across. Snags Weehaw. He drops it off within range as he takes down Ohio.
And Misery tries to continue chasing, barely misses that crush. But they do secure this bottom fight, and Fnatic just not willing to really engage properly here as they just got splintered so quickly.
They certainly did, and now they're going to clean up all the vision thanks to Moon's Gem that's passed over to Resolution. And all that's left is waiting for this Roshan. Unfortunately for Digital Chaos, though, a little bit of bad luck. Roshan is going to be a very late spawn time here, which means they can't immediately capitalize on that great fight.
Still, that bottom fight, I mean, Fnatic, they look like they wanted to full-on commit to it, but DC just found the better angle. They started to try to run away, ended up losing quite a bit of heroes there. As DC, this is their main goal, control up this bottom side of the jungle. And now with the Roshan spawn, Misery just going to amp it up and wait for his Ursa to come in.
3,700 gold on Resolution. He is just stacking it up right now.
Maybe even goes for the Abyssal for himself. Could use the damage as DC walking to the Roshan pit uncontested. As everybody from Fnatic started to move up, they're going to dodge this completely, even if they know what's going on. Not a whole lot to do, especially without vision on the map.
At this point, Fnatic, they probably got to be thinking about a full split push game, right? Just try and outmaneuver Digital Chaos, be able to get the right kind of Shadow Shaman wards that trades towers, and just push this game late enough where the Phantom Lancer can start getting into that late game mode.
I think the problem though is he's so far behind.
Yeah.
He needs a lot more net worth before he can become this monster, whereas illusions actually survive and deal damage.
Yeah, he's gonna need at least another 5 to 6k, if not 10,000. Marana pulled back by X marks the spot for Resolution. He's already kind of sniped that one out. He will be able to, can't quite get Mushi. The slithering crush just barely off the mark there.
DC most likely going to go for this top tier 2 tower. As Fnatic, they should just continue to dodge. There's almost no way that they can get into a fight, especially against that Aegis. No reason not to just wait for that Marana Agnum, or that BKB. As Fnatic clear out their own jungle, mid one probably needs at least 1 item minimum before he can really get into a fight with the rest of these cores on DC. Even the supports are so tanky in farms.
Yeah. Certainly are. We've got Saksa, who can probably pick up maybe a Force Staff soon. Ghost Scepter, not really that reliable against the Diffusal Blade of the Phantom Lancer, but he's going to need some sort of escape mechanism.
Yeah, DC pushing in this mid wave instead. Tower is quite a bit lower than the one at top, and no way that Fnatic can test this. It's just going to go down. Now they're going to connect to this top lane.
This is just a grab back for DC. They're seeing how many towers they can pick up as quick as possible and try and limit the trading that Fnatic are going to be able to get with this 5-man push in bottom lane. They've already got the tier 1 tower. Looks like DC will try and keep their tier 2 alive, though. They don't want to give Fnatic too many opportunities. They're going to pop the Moonlight Shadow as they retreat, and Resolution will be able to find mid one. TP out, they have the stun. Misery needs to force that forward. No, not in time. He tried to sprint, blink, and force staff his way through to be able to close that gap. Now, he might have just found mid one. The Doppelganger still has a man coming up in 5 seconds. They can actually turn on Weeha, and range popped out. So too does the BKB charge get used. He will be able to get away from Fnatic, but wasn't able to claim the bounty that he was really searching for in mid one.
Still, they're going to continue to control this jungle area. Fnatic are going to be forced into a ring around the rosy game, as every single time DC meet them anywhere, they just have to take the opposite side of the map and continue to mirror what DC is doing. And so far, going relatively okay for them. They haven't really lost anybody in quite some time, but Fnatic, they're just losing real estate on the map. They've already lost control of their own jungle. This top side has been warded as well. The only safe place for them to farm really is whenever the creeps push in or this camp. But DC, the one unwarded spot that they can farm, this area right here, the Ancients and the big camp are also being controlled up. Yeah, look at the positioning of Fnatic right now. They're holed up in their base.
Yeah, Digital Chaos know they can keep themselves really well spread. They'll eventually push down this top lane while still controlling both middle and bottom lane. This time around, when they go for a tier 2 tower at top, there isn't going to be that tower trade-off that Fnatic will essentially be taking the best of the bad scenario. But now, not even that option is going to be available.
And that bottom Misery going to get ported in. They probably need one more hero to do this. And they're going to flash Resolution mid and maybe even TP him down here for the rest. Said it's going to be Wii that's going to be recalled. And this 3-man squad
tower is under attack.
Still standing very strong. As Fnatic unable to get any wards out. They just have to do this X mark to spot Marana.
Digital Chaos hero swarming around the mid lane will start rotating up the top where Resolution finishes up the last creep wave before beating on that tier 2. Looks like the pings go out. Fnatic obviously not going to defend outside their base, are banking on a high ground defense here. And Digital Chaos will oblige them. They're going to go for the high ground push of their own. They've got time, ready to go. They start jumping forward. Hardly catching Ohio off guard to pull back into the slithering crunch. Oh, no, the revenge combination, but the bolt, it's all TT's damage up entirely. Weehaw being peckered around by all these heroes. Mushi is trying to actually take away that Aegis without committing too much. Weehaw's chased away and will not lose that Aegis just yet. Oh, Mushi, he jumps in with experts to spot. They tried to catch him, but he's pulled back by 343 just in time.
Has to be careful there. DC, they can still kill him very quickly, but DC gonna just disengage. Not willing to fight without their BKBs onto the high ground. Maybe they just wait for the wards to run out. They also don't have that wall available, but DC, all 3 lanes pushed in. This might be one of their better opportunities. No Aegis on them.
So perhaps time for that smoke push out. They've got the gem too, so if they can win an engagement or even just get a pick off, they can start taking away some aggressive vision from DC. Of course, we know there isn't actually that much vision up from Digital Chaos, just this bottom lane room and one high up in their own jungle. That is oftentimes going to be the play, right? When you start pushing a team in and taking over their jungle, the natural counterplay by Fnatic would be then to push out top lane and try and play in the dire jungle.
Yeah, exactly, but the problem for Fnatic right now is they're playing a guessing game. When they have no wards out on the map at all, it's hard. You're just assuming at this point. They can't really take the best risks. Ohio even trying to place that ward at the top. They had to use the X marks the spot to do that. Nobody from Fnatic right now feels very safe as DC have spread themselves very well. And they'll just continue to get ahead in passive gold. If you just look at the XP right now, as a result of this, standing around 20k, 15k, almost 20k in net worth as well. DC in such a dominant position, and it's clear.
I mean, I was getting a little antsy watching Digital Chaos with that second Aegis and going, you know, okay, let's take that tier 2. Maybe we can go for a high ground push and use that Aegis. But DC are playing much more of a patient game, knowing that they've got full control of the map. They've got a Slark and Ursa and even some greedier support heroes in like the Keeper of the Light and Slardar who can make really good use of the space that they found. They can just control the map and farm and farm and farm until they have such an overwhelming advantage that Fnatic's chances of being able to defend that final high ground push are close to none.
Yeah, right now Fnatic, biggest thing is they don't have a smoke available to them. So they just have to wait before they take an engagement. DC playing around that back, and they are farming everything. The only thing Fnatic is getting right now is whenever the lane creeps push in or somebody from DC shows themselves, S3 reveal themselves in this mid lane. Meanwhile, Resolution he continuously camps between this bottom lane and clearing out the entire Radiant jungle. But in 10 seconds even, I think that's when Fnatic are going to make their move. They know they're just getting passive golded out.
They have to play it forward eventually. You can't just wait and wait for Digital Chaos to go for that push because it seems like DC are not going to give it to them until they have that that gigantic advantage that we're talking about. So they're going to see instead if they can get a pick off here in this top lane. They know eventually someone's going to come up here, and it looks like Moo will be our victim. Now, he's tanky as all hell. He's got Guardian Greaves, a Pipe of Insight, and a Crimson Guard. So this is not going to be the easiest kill in the world for Fnatic to take. They don't actually jump out just yet.
Yeah, they're afraid right now. Everyone started to go missing on the map again. Misery's even going to grab a BKB on this support Slardar. Funny enough, this Keeper of the Light has even more farm than he does. And they're just playing patient right now. They want to absolutely secure this game. Nothing wrong with that as Fnatic just continue to hide, waiting for any sort of opportunity that they can find. Fnatic, they really only get one shot at this. This is their last smoke remaining. They might even be waiting for this Roshan to spawn. But DC, they're doing the exact same thing.
Fnatic, they have no idea if those two heroes top that they saw, Moo and Saksa, if they're alone, if they've got a team backed up, because there's just so little information available to them with only one ward out, and most of what that ward is seeing is just trees on the left-hand side. So Fnatic pop themselves out, look to be able to take a creep wave, not going to be countered by DC, who hope to be able to stop those TPs out.
Right now, DC just continuing to farm up everything. In a second here, we might even check the Roshan, see that it's up, grab the Aegis for himself. It's going to be with the cheese, as Fnatic talked about it. This one smoke is going to be so crucial. where they choose to fight is going to be very important for them, as I think they should honestly just go for the smoke right now. Otherwise, you're going to be holed up in your base and going for a high ground defense. And with 3 BKBs and an Aegis Cheese, I'm not sure if Fnatic can hold that.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing this...
Okay, looks like they agree.
Yeah. Alright, here it goes.
We have to make some sort of aggressive move, but it's so late.
The Aegis and Cheese already being picked up. The Slark will be the one holding the Aegis this time around. We feeling comfortable with his BKB and Aghanim Scepter. There's just no chance that they can pop that Ursa before he gets off the Cheese, so he'll be taking that consumable instead of the Slark. 10 to 21, 40 minutes in. It's a 25,000 gold lead for Digital Chaos, 25,000 experience. It would be one hell of a comeback if Fnatic could actually take this game number 1, but DC are making it more and more impossible as the minutes go on. They're building an advantage. They've finally gotten an Aegis and Cheese, which I can only presume is going to be the deciding factor in their push high ground.
I think that there's still maybe some opportunities for them to do this. They brought back one of those leads last time, but they had much better heroes to do so. Tons of AoE, lots of team fight, really effective supports.
But they're going to wait for the full out Abyssal Blades. I know Resolution, he's got some of the items already on him. Weehaw just completes his own Abyssal Blade.
No, I think they can just go for it right now.
Yeah, that would be the best decision. No reason to stretch this one out any further. They've already got a big enough leads. They can end this game. It all just comes down to the execution. They start making their attempts. Going up high ground with Resolution leading the way. Weehaw sitting just behind him. Ready to go with the Blink Abyssal Blade combination that could ensure a quick kill.
Yeah.
Light Shadow getting Fnatic in a position here to be able to poke at Digital Chaos. The arrow lands onto Resolution. He'll be forced out to safety and immediately healed up by Saksa and his Illuminate Blast.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
And right now,
attack.
to keep it light, his vision game is going to be very effective for them. We can just jumps in, falls the
Picking up the Pirate in the background. They are going to be able to go onto Saksa, but it doesn't seem to be enough. These illusions. That's the game plan. They tried to use X marks the spot and put Minwan on the front ground with the Blink Dagger. See if he can illusion kill Saksa and then be brought back by the X marks the spot. See if they can get a pick and make this a 4 versus 5. The sad thing is, DC, they have so many more opportunities to ensure a pick off, as we saw that Kunkka immediately blown up by Weehaw.
One of the buybacks now used by them is they still have it on both their cores. Nobody else on the side of Fnatic is Resolution just going to run in. They still have to deal with this full HP Slark who's got the Aegis available.
X leading onto Resolution. They have so many defense mechanisms for it, though. Guardian Grease climbing down the jump board. Ohio, he hopes to be able to get the duel. He's actually going to go for Misery first here. Hopes to be able to take him out. It will finish him off. Still, though, Ohio goes down immediately after the duel. Now Saksa in the background. Mid-one off the Abyssal Blade. It saves Saksa's life. And now Weehaw hunts for more. Couldn't get the bash on a DJ. He'll bounce back down to the low ground as the Serpent Wards are keeping DC back from taking the racks just yet. But as they start healing up, and Weehaw, he's got his Blink ready to go. The Abyssal Blade not up, but it doesn't need it. He's still, he's killing the heroes on the back line. The Phantom Lancer's dead. He needs to fly back up. Weehaw, he needs some help. He's already X'd up, has the Cheese ready to go. Forced out, and a great vacuum wall. There's the interception from Moo. Digital Chaos running over Fnatic heroes inside the base. They've become raiders. Killing Fnatic heroes and now raiding the base. Will be able to take the range racks in due time, as it seems impossible for Fnatic to be able to stop them. They keep on blinking in with this Mirana, going for the Starstorm and getting hits X marks the spot back. But Digital Chaos, they seem to have too many items. They are too tanky to be brought back by these simple nukes, and now they're going for a second lane. Tier 3 already dead. Torrent lands. Resolution will be able to get off the Dark Tank though. And the Illuminate undoing some of that damage. Ohio trying to jump himself forward. He needs a critical duel here for them to be able to blow up a hero and make this 4 versus 4 again, as the Shadow Shaman is still down for 15 seconds, but
has
They're
fallen.
not jumping just yet, and it looks like the full second lane of Rags will go down as Digital Chaos now retreat. Ohio, he sees his opportunity. He's going to pursue it.
In the last fight here.
They don't have any damage. Ohio, he managed to survive ever so barely once again. The phone comes in through the clutch, and Ohio will survive. Resolution jumps to the back lane, realizes he's too far out. While on the side, our Phantom Lancer is dancing around Miha's ever-present Ursa. He will be able to dance away this way, not locked down by the Abyssal Blade. Digital Chaos have bought back on Misery Slardar though.
They're just gonna go for it right now again, as Resolution still has that Aegis. They don't have the cheese anymore, but the gold lead is so significant as now the Aegis is taken away, but 30k net worth, 30k XP. This looks all but impossible for Fnatic as they just don't have the damage anymore on any of their heroes. Resolution looks nigh unkillable.
It is so hard to find the silver lining here for Fnatic. They're 2 lanes of Rags down. They're missing buybacks on their Shadow Shaman as well as their Phantom Lancer. That's really the important one. A gigantic net worth deficit. And items just keep on rolling in for Digital Chaos. But the one positive thing you can say is Misery. He doesn't have a buyback. And it looks like Fnatic will be able to buy themselves a bit more time. Digital Chaos here on the main stage. Very disciplined and very patient play, making sure they're not putting anything to risk. They're not going to go for the high ground defense as they no longer have that ancients and cheese. They look to be biding their time, farming up a bit more, and perhaps waiting for Roshan number 4.
Yeah, they can afford to, just because Fnatic, again, they can't really leave their base. They wasted their one smoke opportunity. They've got to wait nearly 3 more minutes for the next one. They have to constantly push out these waves, otherwise DC will know that they're coming and they'll just disengage and wait for the time to run out before the next creep wave comes in. So Fnatic in a position where they're playing wholly defensively and they're just waiting for DC to make any moves and just hoping beyond hope to hold the high ground.
A strategy that is based entirely on the enemy making a mistake. Digital Chaos though, no cracks in their armor to be seen, at least not yet anyway. They are not tripping up whatsoever. They're not playing overly aggressively. They're not trying to throw this game away. They want to be able to lock in an early lead in this series heading into the final day.
DC just continuing to farm out everything that they possibly can. Looks like they're making absolute sure that there's no doubt about it. In that Liquid game that we saw yesterday, Fnatic managed to pull off the impossible, but DC, that was a 20k lead for Liquid. This is going to be nearly a 40k lead for DC. They want to double that up.
Oh, man. Okay, pull back. We'll be able to keep at Mirana out of the hands of the Ursa. I keep on seeing Digital Chaos picking up more and more Lincolns. We now have one on Soxos, Keeper of a Light. That's how you know your supports are farmed when even they are able to get that rather expensive utility item. Weehaw also managed to pick up a Lincoln just recently.
Yeah, and now we have eclipsed the 40,000 net worth deficit in favor of DC. I don't think I've personally seen a comeback like that.
And we even have a Mjolnir on the Slark. You said, you know, they can't probably deal with the Phantom Lancer. Oh, DJ. Thought he could get some vision down. He's going to be caught. Resolution's going to be able to get the courier
They are
as well.
losing everything
He's
now.
right
They've got a
in the
full
middle
retreat.
of 3 Invis heroes. But he doesn't have the Champion Ward, so we won't be able to catch them.
DC just picking out whatever they want. They can start making their way to this top tower as this Shadow Shaman doesn't have that buyback available. And here we go, Fnatic gonna have to hold on without him.
X marks the spot and a little bit of hope once again. That enemy seems like a pit. Move, caught a little bit out of position. Minori trying to respond, be able to get the slew. There's quite looks like they got Mochi though. They missed the blade, take them down. Who will eventually fall? Ohio retreats, but it's gonna be Midwad left in the dust. Another crush from Misery, finish them off. DC, they've used their BKBs, they fought back on moves. They're gonna bring him in with Sasha. They pop 3-4-3 as well. 75 seconds down for the Phantom Lancer, 60 for the Kunkka, and Fnatic will be left to a 3 versus 5 as their last lane of Rags is being beaten on. Fnatic, they never say die, but they finally will give up. Calling it GG, there was just no way back into this game. You said you've never seen a comeback like a 40,000 gold lead, and I'm sure Fnatic had a good idea of what was happening in that game, but they decided to push it to the very end Never know what can happen here on the main stage, but Digital Chaos hold strong. They keep a nice tight grip on this game, not letting it slip out of their hands.
Very good performance from Digital Chaos as they just completely shut out Fnatic wherever they went. That bottom fight, though, is going to be the one I point to. If that doesn't happen, maybe Fnatic have a